Well, thank you, everyone. Today is Monday, August the 1st. This is the Planning and Zoning Committee meeting. I'll run through attendance quickly. Of course, I'm present. Councilmember Bradford is present. Councilmember Gamble is present. I don't see Councilmember Hager. Councilmember Hall is present. Councilmember Murphy O'Connell. I don't see Councilmember Parker just yet. Vice Chair Rutherford is present. I don't see Councilmember Sepulveda. Councilmember Van Rees and Councilmember Welsh are present. So that gives us more than a quorum, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Gives us 9 at the moment. So this is great attendance today. So thanks everyone for coming out. I have just a few items that on our agenda that are not on consent. And those are, I think Councilmember Hall is, thank you for joining us today for item number 1 for the resolution that relates to waste management items. I'd like to have just a brief discussion about that one, as well as number 5. And Councilmember Hall, Councilmember Allen has an amendment. And when we come to that item, we'll let you discuss the amendment. But other than those two, I have, or actually item number 10, Councilmember Van Rees has an amendment as well. So other than those 3, I have everything else on the consent, marked for consent. So what I'll do is I will read through those captions for the items that are not on consent, and then we can have a motion. So that would be item number 2, resolution. This is for the consent agenda. Item number 2, resolution RS 2022-1665. The sponsors are Councilmembers Sledge, Swara, Withers, and others. Accepts a grant from the Metro Historical Commission Foundation to Metro government to assist with a portion of the costs associated with the Fort Negley Park Master Plan. Item number 3, ordinance. This is bills on second reading. Ordinance BL 2022-1142. The sponsors are Councilmembers Parker and Hurt. This amends amends Metro Zoning Code by canceling a portion of a Plain View development overlay for properties located at 301 North 2nd Street and 651 and 660 Joseph Avenue at the northeast corner of Dickerson Pike and Meridian Street, zoned RM20. And of course, this is for the PUD piece of River Chase, but the ordinances themselves are still under consideration. Item number 4, Ordinance BL 2022-1321. I'm the sponsor of that one. It amends the Metro Zoning Code by changing from CS and IR to SP zoning for properties located at 501 and 515 Crutcher Street at the northeast corner of Crutcher Street and South 5th Street to permit all uses allowed in MUGA. Item number 6, Ordinance BL 2022-1375. The sponsors are Councilmembers Allen, Withers, and Young. Authorizes the granting of permanent and temporary construction easements to Piedmont Natural Gas on certain property owned by Metro government located at Zero County Hospital Road. Item number 7, Ordinance BL 2022-1376. The sponsors are Councilmembers Parker, Allen, Withers, and Young. Authorizes the acquisition and conveyance of certain right-of-way easements, drainage easements, temporary construction easements, and property rights by negotiation or condemnation for use in public projects of the Metro government, acting by and through NDOT for Dickerson Pike Sidewalk Improvement Projects, federal project number STP-M-1184. Item number 8, Ordinance BL 2022-1377. The sponsors are Councilmembers Withers and Young. Authorizes Metro government to abandon existing sanitary sewer easement rights for property located at 1620 Corporate Place. Item number 9, Ordinance BL 2022-1378. The sponsors are Councilmembers Taylor, Withers, and Young. Authorizes Metro government to abandon existing public sanitary sewer main and sanitary sewer manholes and to accept new sanitary sewer main and sanitary sewer manholes for property located at 1610 Church Street, also known as the Project C Hotel. And finally, the last item on our consent agenda is item number 11, Ordinance BL 2022-1306 on third reading. This sponsor is Councilmember Van Rees. This, we'll go ahead and place it on consent, but this is the building materials ordinance, which is the companion for the previous item, but it is for property located at 3039 and 3041 Hillside Road. Any commentary? Do any of those items need to be removed for any reason? If not, I will call on Vice Chair Rutherford to bring a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move approval of the consent agenda.
Thank you so much. We have a motion that's properly moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. So next we come to item number 1, which is Resolution RS 2022-1633. The sponsor is Councilmember Jonathan Hall. This is a resolution requesting the creation of a task force as described herein to initiate a study to determine the 5 most probable locations for potential waste transfer stations within the county to be completed by no later than July 31st, 2023. And Councilmember Hall, if you'd like to bring a motion.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'd like to make a motion to move this on second reading, please.
For the resolution?
Yes, for the resolution.
That's great. Is there a second? We have a second. Would you mind go ahead and telling us a little bit about the resolution?
So really quickly, this is just, again, one more step in the effort to work with the Solid Waste Regional Board, that zero waste plan. After being thoroughly chastised quite a bit about Metro not being aggressive in implementing aspects of it into the Metro Code, I sought out trying to do the Solid Waste and Recycling Commission first, and now the next step in this is looking at all the things that we know we don't want to do and that are temporarily necessary. What's going to be the next step in that evolution? Everyone knows that, it's been a 30-year battle for my community, 60 if you count the one that's already been closed. But recently now with the closing of the Southern Services C&D landfill, knowing what's next, this same time next year, that site and both the Rutherford County site for household waste may be completely closed. And Nashville has to get really aggressive, really fast about what we're going to do about all of our waste and recycling. So this is just simply saying, let's take a look at the transfer stations we have, see if we're going to have to do any more as a Band-Aid or a temporary in the interim, and where would they go? Because we know we can't do more landfills. We know there are certain things we cannot do, but this is just, again, trying to bridge that gap and be forward thinking, because we are seriously on the clock, whether people realize it or not. Time is moving faster than we may realize, and we don't want to be New York 1984 with stuff piled up on the side of the road everywhere. And we know we've struggled now, even with our existing transfer stations from time to time, like Alejandro, where it just may be piled up, and you can't tell it as a transfer station from a landfill. So this is just to get ahead of that, sit down and have some serious conversations, determine where things are and where they may go, and then let's start to move the conversation in that direction, what we do to mitigate those.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Hall. Is there any other discussion in committee? Let me see, Councilmember Van Rees.
Yes, thank you. And I have a question, and I apologize. I'm just reading the caption. I don't have the bill in front of me, so this is probably just clarifying as to who would be creating the task force. Would that be out of the mayor's office or out of the council and mayor's office? And would they be reporting then to the current board as to their report, and then into the council directly, not into the solid waste management?
Councilmember Hall, if you wouldn't mind.
It's not the Solid Waste Regional Board. It would come back to council and the administration, working with stormwater and solid waste to figure out ways that we need to move forward in terms of what we implement based on the information that comes back.
I appreciate the clarity. I apologize for not having read it in entirety. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Let me call on, and I'm going to leave you recognized, so so you can respond if you when and if you need to. Next, I see Councilmember Murphy. There you go.
Thank you. Can we hear from Water about this?
We can, yes. And I see that we do have staff who are present. And I know this is also referred to the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, but we will be happy to hear from Sharon.
Hey, Sharon Smith, and we're always happy to work with our friends at Metro Planning on conducting a study. I will say that the primary landfill operators in Tennessee and Kentucky are Waste Management and Republic, and they both have transfer stations in Davidson County. Sort of our second tier down is Waste Connections, who also operates a transfer station in Davidson County. So you can't efficiently operate a transfer station without having a direct connection to a landfill. So I think we're looking at potentially what other locations Waste Management could open a second transfer station, or Republic could open a second transfer station, but all the waste is all going to be going to the same place. So, like I said, we're happy to do a study. I'm not sure the exact value of it in the short term, but it would certainly allow us to identify locations that could potentially be used. I hope that it doesn't end up being something that neighborhoods get upset about, because they may be really close to an area that would be prime for a landfill.
Councilmember Murphy, any further commentary?
I think it is important that you point out that this could be where neighborhoods feel that they are being targeted, or that the planning department is putting a target on them for a use that they may not want in their neighborhood. What's the fiscal impact to the department on this, to do this study or task force?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be much. We'll get with planning. They'll look at the zoning table and see what, and it's going to be industrial, and they're approved by with conditions. So they'll look through that. There's certain, you want something that's probably 4 acres or more. So they're probably going to do a search of all industrial zone properties, 4 acres or more, and then get a list. So and from that list, I don't know exactly how you pick what's the best, but we would look at places that were in large industrial areas away from residential communities, close to interstates, so you're not driving through neighborhoods and stuff like that, and try and get a sense for, what are the top 5. This is not going to take a huge amount of time.
I think that it may be limited in reality, though, because if you're just pulling what is currently zoned for one of these sites, then wouldn't you be leaving out a lot of potentials that could be rezoned for a transfer station? Well, then also we could be prompting council members to do massive rezonings to ensure that their community does not have one of these.
Totally understand. That's the only way I can think of off the top of my head that we could do it, because we wouldn't be able to make recommendations based on potential future zoning changes, or based on, either pro transfer station or against transfer station. So I think we just have to do the best we can, follow the parameters that where transfer stations are allowed to be, and look at spots that are as isolated from neighborhoods and close to interstates. I mean, you want to be in an industrial area, and you want them to be as close to interstate as possible so that they aren't driving through neighborhoods.
Anything else, Councilmember Murphy?
I have a few concerns about the outcome of this, and the way it can, anytime we come up with a plan and start identifying future uses, communities start to plan for and against those uses, and property values can be changed for and against. We definitely need to have some sort of plan for what we're going to do. I'm just not, I'm not totally on board here yet. I think I would like to just hear more about the use of what we'd be doing with this, and public input.
Great, and I'll give it to Councilmember Hall to respond.
So in the short term, it's definitely something that communities are already concerned about and they would be looking at. That's where the conversation is stemmed from. Clearly coming from a community that's been in those battles my entire lifetime, and being the first person to ever actually get one of these closed in my district, in terms of landfills. Transfer stations don't determine landfills. And we can't do any more landfills. So we shouldn't include that part into the conversation. Looking at where transfer stations are, their effectiveness, and if we would need more, and where they most likely be, has no bearing on the landfill conversation, because there can't be another one. That's up to those companies to determine where the stuff goes from the transfer station. That has nothing to do with those communities or us in that matter. In addition to that, we're talking about what's the next step in the next evolution, meaning we've got to come up with alternatives to these things. So for example, when we talk about being in industrial areas, well, that's not necessarily just an industrial area, because there are other members who I had many conversations about who have a ton of AR2A land like I do that are constantly being targeted for these types of things anyway, as is. And so that's something we're working diligently against. And yeah, communities want to know, could they potentially be in line for something like that, and what could they do to prevent it? That's why the legislation, that's why we're doing these studies, and that's why we're working toward getting to zero waste, because we know from a future standpoint, it's something that no community wants to have to deal with. But yeah, landfills don't determine transfer stations or vice versa. That's incumbent upon those companies. We know we can't do any more landfills, so we have to determine how, as the city continues to grow and continues to produce more waste, one, where these things ultimately are going to go. But until those places are determined, we still have to figure out, when it leaves homes, where does it go and how long does it stay there? And so that's a step that we need to figure out first, or in the process leading up to ultimately where all of it ends up.
Thank you, Councilmember Hall. Any other discussion on this item? There you are. Councilmember Campbell.
Thank you, Chair. My questions have been asked and answered, but I appreciate you recognizing me. Thank
Okay. Anything else? I know this is a complex subject. So we have a motion. It is seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none. Okay. The committee recommends. Our next item also is Councilmember Hall. So this is item number 5. This amends Title V of the Metro Code to establish a development impact fee. And I will recognize Councilmember Hall if you bring a motion, and then let us know what you would like to do with the amendment. But
actually, I'd like to make a motion to move the amendment first,
okay,
and then a bill.
Okay. Is there a second? Okay. We have a motion and a second. Please go ahead.
So, Member Allen, would you like to explain your friendly amendment? And I know people aren't used to that, but literally I was going to her asking if take a look at this and tell me if you've got something you want to throw at it, because I'm open to it. And so she's come back with something I think that really works.
Great. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you. I mean, based on the conversation we had in the hall, I had just checked with planning and said I have this vague memory of different ways to do impact fees, and some seem to work better than others. And, you know, is the $1 and the $2 per residential and non-residential best practice? And the answer was, that's kind of a complicated question. It would take time to do that. So this amendment simply says we'll start with that proposed suggestion, which I know is better than just a flat fee, and that may have been what we had at one point contemplated. But this simply says that the planning department would take a certain amount of time just to look and see what best practices are, if there are other ways to be slightly more refined. That, for instance, looks at the difference between square footage of a warehouse and the impact it would have in square footage of a very tall office building. You know, just in terms of the infrastructure that one or the other of those might need. So I appreciate the sponsor being willing to entertain that that amendment, and I would ask for folks to support that.
Great. Thank you, Councilmember Allen. Is there any other discussion on the amendment? All right, we have a motion, proper motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So that's for the amendment. So now you have your ordinance as amended.
And so now I would like to move the bill. And I do have a quick question also for legal in terms of Ms. Darby. If I'm not mistaken, this can be amended on third reading?
I don't think that this can be amended on third reading.
Okay.
Because it's not Chapter 17.
So I'd like to move the bill, please.
Move the bill as amended. Okay.
As amended.
Great. Any other discussion? All in favor, please. Hang on one moment, please. Councilmember O'Connell. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. I guess I'm unclear on this. I feel like we've had a similar bill even earlier this term where I don't understand. I've always understood it not to be legal under our current growth rate to establish impact fees in Nashville and Davidson County. So I'm just curious what distinguishes this effort from previous efforts.
Is it okay if I recognize our counsel?
This bill would be conditional upon a change in state law to allow impact fees.
Okay, I guess if that's true, I think we're maybe a little cart before the horse here in the sense that I'd rather come the other way, where before we passed a bill establishing anything that we would have already, from planning in particular, have a recommendation for an impact fee framework that incorporated considerations of infrastructure via water, NDOT, NES, all of the things that you would want to see rolled up into an impact fee. I'm not aware of any of those conversations having occurred, so it's really tough for me to support the bill even as amended in that regard.
Thank you, Councilmember O'Connell. Councilmember Hall, would you like to respond to that? Or
I don't know about, I didn't see anyone from NDOT here. Maybe we can get that before tomorrow, but there have been several conversations with NDOT and Director Alarcorn about supporting this because it's something she was used to and have had access to in the past, is a big fan of it. Part of the mindset or approach behind this also that stems from the last time was immediately after the last time, the administration, the finance director, and others went to the state to ask for impact fees specifically. And part of the feedback that came from that was we didn't know if they were going to preempt something if we didn't attempt to pass something here. And there is current legislation that's been crafted at the state level. So I think it would be incumbent upon the state, if we passed ours first and then the state looks at it, if they choose not to preempt it, then that would be to our benefit, of course. If they chose to, it would be based on the legislation that they're attempting to pass or that they're temporarily in the process of negotiating now.
any other discussion? Councilmember O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, I'm just, we have not, as a city, I think I would feel much better about the process being driven by the departments and the need. I've not seen any letters from the planning department, from NDOT, from water, from NES, from any other department that would support this. And I can't say whether this amount is the right thing. Again, even as amended, I feel like it would make more sense to me to go ahead and initiate a study of what an appropriate impact fee for Nashville would be. I can't support the bill at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember O'Connell. And I'm going to go ahead and recognize Councilmember Murphy. Is that right? And then we'll let you respond, Councilmember Hall.
Thank you. So there was legislation proposed at the state legislature to allow us to have an impact fee, and it was not successful. And so us passing one when it's not legal and this kind of, shell game of preemption and things, I mean, that's not exactly how the legislative process works here or on the Hill, I think, as a lot of us know. I think a lot of us would feel a lot more comfortable if we heard from departments before we voted on this. And so I'd like to propose a one meeting deferral. So that's the motion I'm making.
You're making that motion. Okay. Let me call on Councilmember Hall.
And that's actually where I was getting ready to go. I wanted to get the amendment on and then defer in order to be able to do that. So is one meeting or two meetings okay with you guys? I'm fine with either. I say one meeting deferral.
There's a motion on the floor for a one meeting deferral, so we'll try that. Okay. So all in favor of the one meeting deferral, please say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. So we have recommended a one meeting deferral. And we have just one item remaining, and that is for Councilmember Van Rees. And You have an amendment, and I'll recognize Councilmember Van Rees.
I do. This is a amendment.
Hang on. Let me read the caption first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I know. This is agenda item number 10, ordinance BL 2022-1305. The sponsors, Councilmember Van Rees, amends the Metro zoning code by changing from RS10 to SP zoning for properties located at 3039 and 3041 Hillside Road to permit 30 multifamily residential units. And I will turn it back over to Councilmember Van Rees.
Thank you very much. I wanted to get this in as an amendment. I know we're voting on this bill on third reading tomorrow. It is clarification in regard to the parking at the location so that the parking allotment is approved in tandem and not side by side. And this is a request to the neighborhood as well as the developer, and I appreciate your support.
And so you would like to move the amendment?
Move amendment.
Is there a second? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? And
I'd like to move the bill as amended.
great. Is there a second? Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. We have recommended approval of your bill as amended. Is there any other business before the Planning and Zoning Committee today? Seeing none, I will declare our committee meeting to be adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone.